with us.
Oh, thank you for calling me.
Yeah,
It's a pleasure, sir.
great pleasure.
Sure, pleasure.
And your colleague, in fact, they have sent retail management courses,
Ah,
exploring the possibility
yeah.
how we can did it, because we need to have a UGC nomenclature. So
Okay.
exploring the possibility.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So once
Yeah.
everything is set, and then we will take it we'll take it forward.
Sure.
BB,
Yeah.
BB,
I think the way to look at it is how it is being done
yeah.
in the other colleges that we are doing.
In
I'm
other
sure
colleges,
it will
when I
also
was
help.
checking with him,
Ah,
it is not. It doesn't come under a UGC.
UGC. Ah, okay.
What you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you. Steve Jobs. Good morning to one and all present in this virtual platform of MDP. Before we start this program, let us invoke God's blessings with silent prayer.
Will be unmute. Will be please unmute. Will be unmute yourself. Unmute.
Okay, sir. If you're working on something that you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you. Steve Jobs. Good morning to one and all present in this virtual platform of MDP. Before we start this program, let us invoke God's blessing with silent prayer. Thank you. The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. The optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. Winston Churchill. Christo Jayanti School of Management extends a warm and hearty welcome to honorable dignitaries, participants from various academic institutions and corporates, faculty members, student coordinators, and my dear Jayantians to the second day of Management Development Program. These interactions provide knowledge beyond books and equip students for their future endeavors. The next session is on channel complexities in the post-COVID-19 retailing. Now I call upon Mr. Prince Joseph Binoy, student coordinator, to introduce the chief guest of today's MDP session, Sri Kumar Rajgopalan.
Thank you, Maybe. A very good morning to one and all present here. Today, I have a very pleasant duty of introducing our chief guest, Mr. Kumar Rajgopalan. Mr. Kumar Rajgopalan completed his degree from the Mumbai University in the year 1986, and later he enrolled in ICAI and completed Chartered Accountants in the year 1989. He has worked under many reputed companies like ShopperStop.com, Crossword Bookstore Limited, and IBM. Presently, he is the CEO of the Retail Association of India, also known as RAI. RAI, a non-for-profit organization, works with all stakeholders for creating the right environment for the growth of modern retail industry in India. Mr. Kumar Rajgopalan been into various retail forums and management institutes as a speaker covering various topics related to retail marketing. So it gives me an immense pleasure to invite Mr. Kumar Rajgopalan to talk about the channel complexities in the post-COVID-19 retailing. Sir, now the session is over to you.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning, sir.
And a great welcome to all of you here from the college. My sincere thanks to Dr. Aloysius who invited me kindly to come in and talk to this audience. I'm sure many of you would sit there and understand retail in some form or the other. My thought is that if I give you some kind of an insight into retail from the angle of an association and from the angle of somebody who's been watching various retailers work as well as consumers behave the way they behave during these times. I'm taking you through a presentation. I do hope that it will add value to all of you. I guess at the end of it, the others in the panel would be able to take it and tell me what needs to be done further than that. So thank you very much. I'll try and share a screen with you so that you can see it easily. So, as we all know, retailing in this country is one of those businesses that's always existed. I mean, we quite often tell that retailing was the second oldest profession in the world, and I do not even want to talk about the oldest profession. So, with that in mind, we know that as long as consumers are there, as long as human beings are there, retail would happen. However, over a period of time, retail has changed its avatar in various forms, and it's always interesting to see various innovations happen which propel consumers towards consumption. India is a large market. We do know that we've got a huge population. We've got a population of more than 1.3 billion people. We seem to be having a fight with China to tell who has got more people in the country. Having said that, the attractiveness as far as retail is concerned is quite interesting. The size of the market, as we estimate, is about $854 billion. That's really large, considering that if you cross $1 trillion, it could be some of the largest retail markets in the world. From a socio-economic standpoint, we as retail contributes more than 10% of the GDP, and more than 46 million people work in retail. So it is a large business. There are lots of people who work there. Also, if you look at the number of stores in this country, it's more than 10 million stores, which means that we've got one store, one retail store for every 100 people in this country, which is also not very small. And this is what makes the country really interesting. We've got very, very small stores, and we've got really large stores, and we've also got internet-led businesses. The online business in this country is also growing quite well. We do know that as on date, it's about 3.4 to 4% of the total business, total retail business, but it is on the rise. 2 years before, it was about 2%. So we know that it's growing at some speed here. So what does this mean? It means that we're consuming. But if you really look at what are the categories that drive this consumption, it's still predominantly a food and grocery market. About 64% of the total business is still food and grocery. This means that we've got a huge capability to consume more. Most of the advanced nations across the world would have food and grocery less than 50%, because people would have not only food is taken for granted, they start buying other things like apparel, consumer durable items, jewelry, entertainment products, furniture, etc. Beauty care becomes very, very large as per capita income goes up. Therefore, in a country where the per capita income is increasing, other than for this year where I think we're going to land up into a negative spiral, all the other years our per capita income has always grown, and that is very good news because it increases consumption. We all know that India has been always called as roti kapda makan, which means that people say that it's all about food, clothing and shelter. But as per capita income increases, people start aspiring more. Firstly, they start choosing what kind of food, what kind of apparel, what kind of shelter. And then they start aspiring for various other products. So the possibility for growth in this country is very big. And that's the reason I've shown these categories on this slide. So what has happened during the pandemic? We all know that we all faced lockdowns. It is a black swan event. Many retailers had never come across a situation wherein they had to shut down the shop. At the most, they had to shut down a shop for 1 or 2 days thanks to some kind of a function, or because there would be some election, or if there is some kind of a strike. We've never gone through a process where in about 30 days the stores were shut, and most of the times, even after they are open, it was partially shut. Timing restrictions were there, consumer entry restrictions were there. Even as we speak today, there are various states in the country which has various restrictions. This means that consumption was getting impacted. This also means that what we took for granted, at least I mean, all of you saw that I'm quite old. And from my birth onwards, I've never seen a situation wherein retail stores were not open for a long period of time, or there were restrictions in movement in our own country. Now, this is the fact of life. This is the worry. And I think, as our MC had told, every problem is possibly got a probably got a big potential around it, or it's got a big opportunity around it. And the whole thought process of my presentation is to start thinking, what are the opportunities, what will make things work, what this would mean for retail as an industry. Some of the things that has happened during this pandemic, the leap of the neighborhood store. You and me have started trusting the neighborhood store much more during this pandemic. Because our country has got so many retailers, many of us could get food in spite of a lockdown. If you all look at the Western countries all across the world, many of them had a run on the supermarket because the neighborhood stores were not easily available. And this created havoc for many as far as food was concerned. Thankfully, in our country, food was allowed to be retailed even in the thick of the pandemic, and many of us were able to access food. But there were restrictions, which meant but the nearby shops became the most important one for us. These shops also started realigning themselves to the modern world. The same shops that used to get worried about technology started using things like Facebook and WhatsApp, and they also started sometimes getting conversational commerce, and some of them also got onto social media. This is the beauty of how a pandemic gets people whom you least expected to go on to new kinds of ideas. We all know that as individuals, as consumers, and as at an individual personal level, we all use various collaboration platforms digitally to be able to connect with our friends, family, colleges, etc. The same is the way in which the retailers also started connecting with their consumers in various fronts. Hyperlocal activities have gone really high. And this is a good insight for those of you who want to start thinking new businesses. If you've got a business capability from a retail standpoint, which can really potentialize hyperlocal, things will change. We are seeing this happen with WhatsApp. We are seeing this happening with Reliance. We are seeing Amazon doing the same thing, but we are also seeing a lot of neighborhood stores combining together to try and create hyperlocal advantages, so that they could start competing with really large retailers also. Digital savvy consumers is the way life has become now. Most of us are starting the day looking at a screen, ending the day looking at a screen. Sometimes I joke that we don't seem to be looking at our own better halves as often as we look at the screen. So this is the way life has been for us. And I do think that this will have a long-standing impact on the way businesses will behave. The reluctance to mingle in crowded places has also created a higher propensity for digital adoption. Contactless payments have become the order of the day. So there are new types of things that are happening. Social commerce is becoming big. People have also started doing curbside pickup or click and collect kind of concepts to be able to allow for consumers to shop well. The touch-free shopping experience, I've already touched upon it. Contactless delivery has become important. People are leaving their items outside your houses for you to take it because they do not want to come and give it in your hand and create a social distancing issue around that. The mindful shopping has become the way life is for all of us. This conscious consumerism, on the one hand, we are careful about what we want to buy. On the other hand, we are also conscious of what we are buying. The ability to bring items which are sustainable, there's sustainability around it, bring in item that does not have any kind of pollutants in it, have all become the important thing. We're creating more stress on healthy food. Now, all this has a permanent impact in the way in which all of us would behave even going forward, even after the pandemic. Sustainability, like I said, is becoming important. The price value equation is a very important aspect that has happened during this pandemic. I call it the polarization of retail. Why is it polarized? As we finished Diwali, as we got inputs from various of our members, the thing that came out as analysis was very, very interesting. What did happen was, on the one hand, consumers were trading at a lower price or were wanting to buy lower priced items, which means that retailers who were selling value products were able to sell very well. Whoever was selling value items were selling well. The retailers who were not selling value, who were at the mid path, were not doing all that well. Retailers who were selling items at a high price point, occasion wear items, luxury items, did extremely well during this pandemic. Now, this is the polarization. Why did this happen? Because on the one hand, people who couldn't afford much started downtrading. On the other hand, people who could afford were not really going across the world. They were within this country itself, and they did want to make themselves feel good. They had the money. How would they make themselves feel good? So from a Maslow standpoint, they started looking at items that gave them big amount of self-actualization, and they went for really high price point items. So the brands that sold high price point, very luxurious items sold well. Also, as the pandemic opened up, as the society opened up, things like marriages started happening again. Therefore, occasion wear became very important. Now, all these are very good cues for people who are interested in retail. The other part is that consumer stickiness have also become important. Many of the consumers went to those retailers who recognized them well. This really gave a big boost to retailers who could really keep their consumer data with them. Lots of new product launches have happened during this time, from garments that will repel viruses to uh, laminates that will repel viruses to various kinds of masks. Some companies have created masks that gave them 100 crores of business, and lots of new food brands have started coming in. Lots of ready to eat items have come in. Lots of innovations have happened around immunity boosters, so on and so forth. You've just got to think what are the opportunities available, and you will know that there is huge amount of new types of launches, new kinds of products, and this is good news for any industry. What are the key strategies that retailers can adopt is one of those things that can help each one of us who are listening to this, because if you've got an idea, and especially if you are a management student, you've got to start thinking about what are the new strategies for any business that you can adopt that will take you to the next level. Now, this is an assimilation of ideas that I've got from various of our retailers for all of us to understand and enjoy. One is that retailers can adopt unified commerce or omni-channel. The fact is that not pure online, not pure offline has become the winner in this pandemic. Omni-channel has become the real winner. Consumers do want to buy online, but they also want complete trust that they can do if it's an offline companies that they recognize, which is why we've seen quite a lot of our good brands, people like Nykaa, people who were already in the business, who were doing on omni-channel are doing well. Shoppers Stop is now doing better because of an omni-channel. Many companies have taken an omni-channel route to be available to us. Reliance predominantly was seen as an offline company. It's now become a very big company because of the fact that they've also got online available. So you will see a big amount of emergence of this omni-channel, and this, sometimes we see this fight of Reliance and Reliance Future Group and Amazon. It's mainly because whoever gets Future Group has got a much better capability of omni-channel available across the country. This is the beauty of the way the market is progressing. Work from home could become a norm. Many retailers and many businesses, yesterday I was in a board meeting of a NBFC who do consumer finance, and they are cutting down their offices to 1/10 of what their size was. So working from home will become a norm. Way back in 2006, when I used to work with IBM, I used to get paid extra amount of money for working from home. So this is the norm that many will follow across, and this could become the way each one of us have to start thinking. Now, when you do that, imagine what's happening to the market of home. This whole home is got completely redefined. We need special working places. We need a lot of bandwidth. We've got to make sure that items are available in the house for consumption, because you're suddenly having your tea, coffee, and everything inside the house. There is a need for kids play area. There's a need for a work area. There is a need for a bedroom that is going to be away from the workroom. Everything is getting redefined. Imagine what consumers are going through. You will find new products capability there. Therefore, innovation becomes the key to attract consumers. The more you innovate, the better it is for you. People are trying drone deliveries currently. People have reconstituted the way their distribution centers are. People have completely realigned distribution topology. These are the things that's going to change the way retail is. Market penetration is become interesting. Many retailers who only had tier 1 cities as their market landed themselves into trouble because tier 1 cities has the highest impact of corona currently. The tier 2 and tier 3 cities did not have so much of an impact and business continued. Therefore, and the rural markets are still open. Therefore, when retailers or any other businesses want to look seriously into business, they should seriously look at tier 2, tier 3 rural markets to be able to really expand themselves. Collaborations have become the most important part of this pandemic. I've seen retailers doing collaborations at all levels. Collaboration for sales. For example, Wow Momo is wanting to sell their products from within Cafe Coffee Day. Wow Momo is also wanting to sell groceries from within Wow Momo stores. This is all thanks to collaboration. When the offline retail stores were shut down completely and the online retail stores were allowed to open, many of my online retail members took people from offline retail stores to be able to do the delivery. The offline retail stores had excess people. Online retail companies did not have excess people. These people were getting exchanged, and that is the height of collaboration. You would see all kinds of new kinds of payment devices and mechanisms happening, and new collaborations getting formed on that account. The government itself collaborated with Retailers Association of India all through the pandemic to ensure that essentials was available in the length and breadth of the country for everybody. I have never seen such high level of WhatsApp groups from a municipal commissioner to a police commissioner to somebody from Retailers Association coming together on WhatsApp group in every state of this country to collaborate and make sure that food was available to every single citizen. The other beautiful part of what has happened is that cost of funding has suddenly come down. Before the pandemic, many of the retailers were getting funds at about 9.5 to 10%. Now it's come down to 7.5 to 8%. This 3 percentile reduction overall really boosts capability to do business. If you have a great business idea, now is the time to take it up. The other part is supply chains have become inconsistent. Traditionally, retailers would say what I would call as auto fulfillment, which means that they know what is selling and they keep on fulfilling it. Because of the pandemic, trends started getting not to be more relied upon. So the instantaneous capabilities became more important, and that means the just-in-time inventory became the most important. More connectivity between the consumer to the retailer to the supply chain to the producer became the norm rather than an exception. Almost every retailer had to go through what I would call as agility. Every single business was becoming agile because you do not know what's going to happen tomorrow. As I speak today, in Maharashtra, there's a law that says that you can't come into the city from Goa, Maharashtra, from Goa or Gujarat or from Delhi or from Rajasthan without having COVID test done. That really impacts the way people move. When this happens, those companies that are agile can quickly look at alternatives. The others land themselves into trouble. Retailers who've got good database of consumers are the winners. Valuation is for companies that has got the best consumer data with them and who can connect with their consumers. This has been the trend for the last 4 years. It's got completely re-established now. Digital is the core of all business. I would say digital has become the core of life for all of us. And then, of course, innovations like video shopping is becoming the way life is for all of us. Many of the season wear or the occasion wear retailers of ours and high-end consumer sales retailers of ours have started adopting video shopping capabilities to help consumers buy without coming into the store. So lots of innovations, and every innovation can increase business for all of us. These are just thoughts. With that, I want to thank all of you for coming in, and I hope that this would leave all of us thinking about what's next in retail as a country.
Thank you, sir, for a splendid session, sir. And now the floor is open for questions.
Yes. Now the floor is open for questions. Participants can either post your questions in the chat, or you can raise your hands and then you can be unmuted and hear a question.
Sir, there is a question.
Yes.
Can I ask that?
Yeah. Proceed.
Maybe it is expected that another 6 months there will be more work from home for all the industry. So how it will affect the social spending with respect to the hotels or any group shopping behavior of Indians mostly. Most of our purchase not only in the seasonal time, generally with the friends, relatives, there is a behavior of social shopping or social spending. It is not going to happen. So how the retailers are going to deal with that loss?
Yeah, actually, some part of social shopping is now allowed, and what you call as social shopping from a point of view of food or occasions and get together, etc., has been allowed in some form or the other. For example, across the country, the whole need for coming into the places of worship is now got allowed with some restrictions. The restaurant, going to restaurants has become now something that all of us can, but there are some restrictions. So it's restrictive social shopping that's allowed now. We are working with the government to try and make it much easier. For example, we are now talking to various governments to say, can you allow open spaces of shopping centers to be used for food? For example, you could create a whole lot of tables there, and this would help people sit there and eat with enough social distancing. We're also asking for open spaces like what happens across the world, outside on pavement areas or open areas to be created for food, etc. So I think people will have to find out new methods of doing it, but it will always be this what I called originally as the omni-channel. Part of it would be delivered home, the other part would be here. And I'm also seeing that slowly people have started meeting each other in everybody's houses. May not be a very large group, but they are meeting in houses. Again, they are calling for food. So if you see most of these food providers in Swiggy, Zomato, etc., party packs have become important for all of us. And also people like even microbreweries have started delivering beer on tap in a keg to the houses. So everybody is learning a omni-channel methodology. That's the way life is going to be for some, at least for some more time.
Yes. So the thing, and next one is the panic buying behavior. As you said, sir, even the government is liberalizing the restrictions, but still, even the transportation is liberalized where the no passengers are ready to travel as earlier. The same way, even it is liberalized in the restrictions, still there is a panic buying behavior is there. They will selectively buying, and together they are buying as a wholesale only. Not the impulse purchase is not happening in these cases.
I'm not very sure whether that's the way life has become for us now. I think most of the items are easily available. And wherever there have been any kind of restrictions, I've got to say that this government has been very, very interactive with the industry bodies to make sure that those were lifted. Every week we have some kind of a call with the center as well as with the states to try and help that happen. I think most items were available in the midst of Diwali. Everybody found what they wanted. As far as the impulse shopping is concerned, it's quite interesting. And here I've got to give actually thanks for opening this up. One of the things that we found was that the customer entry had dramatically reduced to about 40% of what normal customer entry was. But business still happened at about 80% of normal, because most of the customers, when they did come in, bought more. The ticket sizes had become much larger. And this is mainly because my belief is that consumers, when they are at home, are doing what we call as digital discovery. Normally, when you go into a store, you start discovering product. But now many consumers are doing digital discovery, creating a larger shopping basket in their minds and getting into the store. When they do get into the store, they do know that they're not going to create the same recency frequency as it was before. So they go in and buy as much as they want to and come out. So they're buying in larger quantities, they are buying deeper, they're buying wider, and they are coming back. I think that is the behavior that we are seeing now. So ticket sizes have doubled, customer entry has halves.
So, as because of the pandemic, there is an increase in awareness of organic purchasing organic products. So, in what way the government is supporting in enhancing this organic or hygienic related goods? Sir?
I think the Food Safety Security Authority has got this whole uh, thought process, methodology, and a whole lot of boosting around this whole organic product, the FSSAI, as we know it. Having said that, I believe that this whole concept around organic is more to do with consumer and consumption and marketing towards this consumer and consumption. And we are seeing that happening with a much bigger fervor now because of the pandemic. Like you rightly said, consumers are looking for organic products. I've known of at least 10 brands who really become larger because they were serving organic items. Before the pandemic, they were not getting any kind of traction. Now, suddenly, there is this fervor around it. And you would see that most of the websites that are selling food products would also have a separate listing for organic items. So that's the beauty of what has happened due to the pandemic. I think this trend may continue. That conscious buying, what I spoke about in my presentation, is become important.
Yes. Next question is from Jibin Jose from second year MBA. Sir, when we talk on IT sector, working from home makes sense, but retail sector is not like that. Even for e-retail, working from home will not be an option. So how can you say adapting that norm is fruitful?
Yeah, I think we should. Uh, why working from home? It's mainly because of the thing that there has to be some social distancing. I think if you understand that social distancing is the important part here, not necessarily working from home, life becomes easy. Uh, yeah, some sectors you really can't do social distancing, so you take care of the whole thing with some amount of protective capabilities. For example, salons, right? If you go to a salon, you'll see that most of the people are wearing PPEs and serving you. So those kinds of new methodologies will come in for those which need human contact. But those where you can afford to keep this 3 feet or 6 feet distance, things would be based upon distance and people will work. In some sectors, you don't need to come home. And my belief is that this has opened up that whole requirement. I think many a times companies would force people to come into the office, punch at one time, come in and sit down and think that my people are not capable of the discipline that is required to work. I think that notion has got broken down. I do have to tell you this. From 2000 to 2009, I was working with IBM. 400,000, more than 400,000 people used to work in IBM. There was no real need for us to come and punch in our attendance and walk into the company. Like I said, I got additional money for working from home. When I came into RAI, I set the same norm to my people. I did not want them to start punching cards. I don't expect them to come to office in a manner which says that if you don't come to office, you'll land in trouble. People have been very, very good. Most of them don't even take a casual leave. They sometimes work from home. So the more responsible you make it better. But in some sectors, you can't do it. You've got to do what needs to be done. For example, if you are a motorman driving a train, you've got to come and do that job. You can't be sitting at home.
Yes, thank you. So the next question is from Sir, nowadays retail consumers are adapting to omni channels such as contactless payments, consulting virtually, and so on. Does this have a positive impact on the retail industry?
Oh, it definitely has an impact to the retail industry, whether positive or at an industry level, it's a very positive impact because it just opens up the capability of every retailer to try and be available to the consumer in multiple forms. I call it various avatars that they can show to the consumer. Uh, for some retailers, it may not be very positive because this is a big change. For many retailers, and my belief is that Indian retailers are very, very smart. They will adapt and they will do things that will make it very, very easy for them to work, especially this capability of video shopping. As we speak, I'm seeing a whole lot of retailers adopting it, consumers enjoying it, and business happening all across. So that's the way life is.
Thank you, sir. Next question is by Jacob Sam first year. So thank you for the session. My question is, do you think in the future any retail store could rise to be a unicorn by only having physical stores and not an online presence? For example, Nykaa recently became a unicorn, but do you think without its online presence, it would have become a unicorn?
I'm not very sure whether that's the right way to think about it. because I've always stated that you've got to do what the consumers want to do. And if consumers are available digitally as well as physically, why should you be available only only physically? As we speak, in fact, the government of India has recognized this. They are creating an open standards e-commerce platform in which ARIA is one of the members there. We're trying to do what we can to try and help even very small businesses to be available online. So I don't think this online or offline is any more a question. I think it's a matter of being visible as consumers. Let's face it. If you were sitting at home, you weren't able to go out. And if you were wanting to look at what's available, you would normally go online and look at what's available. You may not want it immediately. You may want to pick it up. But my belief is the neighborhood stores would become extremely important, because one could shop late in the night and get it very early in the morning, or sometimes get a delivery in half an hour's time. This is why the nearby stores, when they become omni-channel, is going to be a very powerful medium. The hyper-local is something to watch out for. I would find a lot of unicorns becoming thanks to their hyper-local capabilities.
Thank you, sir. The next question is by Melvin Matthew. Melvin Matthew, sir, during this pandemic period, our country was forced to use our own products because of decrease in importing. How this influenced retailing?
I do believe that sometimes forcing people to do some local production because of a pandemic becomes a good way of innovating or doing new things. This whole Atmanirbhar as a concept is something that the government has launched. I still have to see where it will take us to. The judgment on that is still not out, but it's a good concept. The day when, I believe that the day we can make a lot of electronic items in this country and we become a very big powerhouse of electronic manufacturers, for example, I think the country would have gone to a different stratosphere altogether. We've got the ability, we've got possibly the willingness now. We're also seeing that the government wants to talk about ease of doing business. I think we can do what the rest of the world wants. Why should we be talking about only consumption for us? We should talk about consumption for across the world.
The next question is by M. Shaktived. Sir, do you have any solution against the firms downsizing, which creates an economic downturn seriously? This new normal affect normal life?
Well, it is a sad part that many of the retailers, many of the various firms, MSMEs, all had to shrink their capabilities during the pandemic. It exposed some lacuna in the way in which we do businesses. It also exposed our ability to get some kind of financial prudence coming in. The government is trying what it can. Many of us as an industry body are trying to do what we can to support and make things happen. But my belief is that lots more can happen because of the concept called collaboration. If any individual business starts thinking that I'm small, but I've got the ability to connect with multiple people to become very large, it can change. But the fact is that downsizing many a times creates new innovations. We'll have to wait and watch. If this downsizing remains as it is, and if the number of companies is very reduced for more than 2 or 3 years, then we are in a serious situation. But I believe that there is going to be all kinds of new businesses and new innovations that will happen in the market. So wait and watch. Sometimes a jolt is essential to create new innovations.
Thank you, sir. The next question is by Hariharan Shankar from MBA first year. Sir, thank you for the informative session. For retailers to get back into the business, what will be the strategy they will be looking to adopt? So would price changes and discounts still be the strategy? And how will that affect the retailers?
It's a good question. Frankly, many people talk to me about this price. I'll try and answer this part of price first. A price is not a strategy for everyone. And any person who thinks that they can work and play the market because of price may land themselves into trouble. Because if you can reduce, there is somebody else who is smarter, bigger, larger, or can create scale who can make it even cheaper. Then you land yourself into trouble. So price is not a great strategy other than for those retailers who are predominantly value retailers. For them, life is about creating excellence in pricing. For all others, it's about service. It's about understanding your consumers, extending the share of wallet of this consumer by knowing more about the consumer. That is the real strategy that one has to learn. And that could mean product innovation. That could mean that better insights, that could mean better collaboration, better just in time. For example, if I was to get, I wanted a mobile phone which got into a mess in the middle of this pandemic. Now, the way in which I found it was to go to a Chroma nearby and say, listen, do you have? And he said, I talked to Chroma, I did talk to Sangeeta, and then I spoke to various people. But thankfully, I do know most of these owners. But one of these guys said, don't worry, don't move, I'm going to give it to you. And I got it immediately. Now, speed became more important than price. So it's not always price that is the important thing. Of course, I also got a good price. But the point is, many a times it's a combination. It's about value. Value is about quality, price, and various other attachments that come with it to make it the right price for you.
Thank you, sir. The next question is by Prince Binoy, MBA first year. Sir, attracting the best talent has always been a challenge in the retail industry compared to other industries. Offer higher salaries and more attractive benefit packages. So, what can we expect in future from retail industries to attract young minds?
Very good question. Talent, frankly, is a problem for not just retail, for every industry, right? And I do whatever people may say about automation and various things. You've got to have the right set of talents at the right places to make the business really run well. Retailers in this country are thinking about sometimes realigning their businesses, automating part of it, getting fewer number of people, but making it much more worthwhile for them to come in because they get better salaries. So the value addition per employee becomes much larger. Now, every student should start thinking about how does he create value, or how does she create value, which is larger than the cost that they are acquired at. If you can showcase value, then you will get the price that you want to pay. I do have to tell this to all of you though. Many a times people come to me, students especially come to me and tell me, sir, I'm being recruited by retail industry. I'm not getting a salary which is good enough. Should I go to retail at all? I tell them that the biggest mistake you do is that you are looking at your salary from today. You have to start thinking about what is the value that comes to you for 5 years hence. Many people who join retail in 5 years time are capable of running their own business, or they've got ESOPs that's become multiple times more valuable than other businesses. For example, they compare themselves with FMCG and retail. FMCG may pay very well at the start, but retail pays dramatically higher after you know what you're doing, because you suddenly after 3 years is in charge of buying and merchandising. You are doing buying which is crores and crores of worth of business, and you become a general manager in real aspect. That means that you get paid a dramatic amount of money. So in the third and fourth and fifth year is when retail really pays well. And I bet you retail pays better in the fourth year than most other industries.
So, next question by Moses Johnson by MBA first year.
Just 1 second. There is one more thing.
Yes.
If somebody doesn't have the attitude for retail, you should not be joining retail. Many people are not successful in retail not because they do not have the aptitude for it. They're not in retail because they don't have the attitude for it. Serving is an art. And if you do not have a serving mindset, you should never join retail.
Sir, there's a question according to your last statement. Already, most of the students or the graduates are moving towards other jobs rather than the sales, core sales. Because of the pandemic situation also, as we are seeing, the analytics, digitals are so important. So there might be a more shift towards digital or other ways of marketing apart from the core sales. So what would be your suggestion for our management students, which area to focus? Because I expect that if it continues in after 5 years, there will be huge gap in core retailing. That's a field retailing. So how it can be handled?
Well, many a times I meet students who go through life thinking that life is bed of roses. I also see students doing some fundamental mistake. The biggest mistake that students can do is to think that I'm not good enough to do sales. Especially if you're a marketing student. Frankly, I have never come across anybody in the world who's become successful if they did not know how to do selling. I myself am a chartered accountant by my academics. When I landed into Shoppers Stop, I was handling finance and systems. But in the second year, I started selling on the floor. And it really creates worry, because I was perspiring when I was selling my first sari to the first customer across the table. But it really creates the right kind of essence to you. Then for 13 years in my life, I have done operations, which meant that I was on the floor and selling. And I still believe that I'm a salesman more than I'm an accountant, although I'm a chartered accountant, management consultant, various things. But at the end of the day, I'm a salesperson. This is an important aspect for everybody to learn. Steve Jobs would not have been Steve Jobs if he could not understand consumers, and you don't understand consumers if you've not done real sales. So please understand that the biggest mistake you can do is to not do sales. You've got to do sales to understand how a consumer thinks and what they are doing. You've got to meet people to understand. You've got to see analytics by itself at the back end without meeting consumers is not a very nice thing to happen to an individual, because you're not got a rounded capability in your life. I'm not saying analytics is not important. I'm not saying the strategy is not important, but understanding that you can't stand on the floor and sell is important. I used to get very senior people from FMCG joining me in my retail business. Sometimes they'll stand on the floor and start sweating. And if I tell them there is one customer coming, can you go and say hello to her? These guys who are really senior people would not know how to say hello to a new lady who's come into the store. That's the most dangerous way of getting yourself into a senior position. I say first learn sales and then go on to other positions. You will do a great job.
Yes, sir. True, sir. True. Yes. So let it be the last question, sir. There are a lot of questions, sir, but let it be the last question. So Moses Johnson, MBA first year. Sir, with retail inflation decreasing from 6.5 to almost 5.9% at present, and CPI inflation within plus and minus of 2%, how do you foresee the future inflation levels considering these fluctuations? And with moderate level of inflation required for the better production, is it a favorable situation now, sir?
Actually, it's only today that they have told that we may be landing ourselves into a recessionary condition, right? A recession is something to be worried about. India has never faced recession. I do hope that things will change quickly for us. The prices are important, but my belief is consumption is more important. If you're not consuming enough, it lands us into recession, and we should think about the recessionary trend rather than pure inflation. In a growing economy, sometimes a bit of an inflation is not a worry, and this small percentile is neither here nor there. The most important part is about real consumption, and I'm sure the government is wanting to do a few things. You might have come across the cases wherein they have told that for LTC, you can convert rather than travel that same money into real consumption at the front end. These are things that we are working with the government on. We do hope that consumption will go back and India would become one of those cases where, because of the sheer population, we are seen as a country that's come out of this pandemic problems economically than other countries. So I hope that happens to us.
Thank you, sir. So final, your concluding remarks for our management students.
Thank you very much for calling me in. And once more, thank you to Professor Aloysius for inviting me, and to the esteemed set of people who are available on this currently. I do believe that we have a great country, and I believe in the consumption of this country, and I do believe that we can really grow. The Prime Minister keeps talking about the 5 trillion economy. I do hope that that happens, but for that, each one of us have to do our bit to really make it happen. It is a bad situation, but it's not so bad that we cannot innovate. It can quickly turn out into be the one thing that changed the way the country is. Like I said, you can manufacture better in this country. Our technology edge is better. We've got a very young population, which means that we can do things differently than other parts of the world. And also the fact is that all of us together can move a big mountain, and this pandemic is not something to be too worried about. So keep up the good work. And as students, I would say, do the grunt work now if you want to enjoy life later, rather than the other way around. Do not think if you are joining, for example, a company and say, what is the salary you're getting today? Think about the next 5 years and think, where will you go? Create careers. Do not create job for yourself. Do not ever land up into a situation where you think that you've done a great job because you got a big offer today, and after 5 years you are stagnant at that place. So think about industries that will create value for you intellectually. Become very, very curious. Do not ever join a company which will not allow your curiosity to flourish. That's the only big thing that I tell every student, because if a company is not wanting you to be curious, they can't innovate enough, and that can land into trouble. So go into those companies. Do not get worried about the first year of salary. The first 2 years, think that you have to pay money to go and work, because that's when you are actually paying tuition fees to earn some practical living in your life. You will do much, much better job, I'm sure. Wish you all the best. Do not get into this worry of pandemic. Pandemic has opened up opportunities all across. Grab it and all of you will be winners.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Excellent interaction. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Dr. MK here, Head School of Management here. Thank you very much for sharing your wisdom with our students, and a special thanks for that positive vibe that you have created, and the practical tips that you give to the students, to invest wisely in a longer career than just like ending up something which pays a couple of hundreds more right now. That would be really take home advice to our students. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Over to MC.
Thank you, sir, for sharing us about various innovations, overall Indian retail market, future for retail post-pandemic by augmenting digital capabilities, focusing on hyper-local deliveries, and about the new strategies which will take us to the next level, like big emergence of omni-channel across the country. We thoroughly enjoyed your presentation throughout the session. Your delivery was so engaging. We are highly obliged to express our heartfelt gratitude for your thoughtful discussion. It was truly insightful. It's a great honor to have you with us today. Thank you, sir.